So this is my test for that in your town. What if these like kind of bigoted nurses, if Erik Estrada was a cop in your town, close to the hospital, right, that you work at, Erik Estrada from Chips, like tight ass uniform, slick back hair,
great looking back in the day,
bronze,
still looking good.
Yeah, bronze is all get out,
right?
And he's a cop. Most of these nurses are banging him, like they're still gonna,
but probably not telling their mom and dad about
it. Right. That's my Erik Estrada litmus test for fucking implicit racism, right?
Yeah.
So these ladies are gonna complain about Mexicans, but in a snap they would fuck Erik Estrada, dressed in the Chips costume.
So for dudes, who is that? Is it Lisa Bonet? Is that?
What is going on, everybody? 'Tis I, the enigma of the gun airwaves, Miyanovich, welcoming you to Season 3 of the Liberal Gun Owners Lens podcast, where unprecedented perspectives are packed into the cargo hold for the LGO Lens spaceship Voyagio. That's fucking Italian. Don't believe that evolution is possible with guns and public safety in America? It's already happening, y'all. Minds are evolving. Think guns versus public safety is the only game in town, do ya? Think culture war is the big boss, do ya? Then keep your ass in the past. Everyone else, all aboard! So I'm just going to say the requisite John Waltz, welcome to the Liberal Gun Owners Lens podcast, man. It's good to finally have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, this is a long time coming. A couple of years of conversations with John and developing himself as a podcaster himself. I'll say that fucking 5 more times. Himself is doing it. So we'll talk about that later on today with these microphones on. This is our second crack at this because we had a technical glitch the last time, hoping this will pay off, hoping we're going to be a little bit more loose this time. So I want to go in a different direction to start off. Instead of going like, hey, John, how'd you get into guns? Sure. I want to talk to you about this while we're fresh. Talk to me about what is fucked up about guns in America, like fucked up conservatives and their bullshit online about liberals. Why do we have to have a haven for ourselves to talk about guns? The massive scientific retardation that's going on there. And then also, perhaps, let's also talk about the fucked up and stupid things that we see on our own side. In your experience, what I'm really interested in hearing is just the stupid shit that we see online with guns, or even in the real world. As somebody who you live in Springfield and you're a liberal guy, and then you're around a lot of not liberal people. Talk to me about maybe bad experiences, bad tastes, unacceptable immaturity, that kind of shit. Anything come to mind when I mention that shit?
Yeah. So, like you said, so I live in beautiful Southwest Missouri, Springfield, and it's Trump territory. It's conservative Republican territory. We elected human thumb like Billy Long to Congress for a whole bunch of years. And that dude is just the worst, you know. Mm-hmm. I mean, just like whatever your impression of, like, you know, a conservative Republican is, it's this guy, you know. Mm-hmm. And, you know, he got that job. He had he was an auctioneer prior to getting elected to Congress and everything, and just basically had enough money to run. Occasionally, you know, our local Democratic Party will run somebody against them. It's never anybody serious because this district goes, you know, 70 or 80% for the Republican every year. So the Dems don't throw any money at it. Understandably, you know, it's not that. So it's very conservative. You know, it's a city of about 200,000. It falls off into farmland pretty quickly. You know, so there is that urban rural kind of thing going on, but even the urban folks have parents or grandparents that live out in the country. You know, I grew up on the East Coast in Maryland, and it was a lot more liberal-ish out that way. Although, you know, I left there when I turned 18, so I wasn't I wasn't especially politically active back then. But it's, it's okay. There are, since the advent of Trump and the MAGA movement, there are a handful of giant pickup trucks all flying, 6 or 7 flags off the back of them, rolling coal through intersections and shit like that when election season rolls around and everything. But like in general, there's not a whole lot of negative stuff going on. That said, working with people who tend to be conservative and tend to assume that everybody around them thinks the same, there's a lot of microaggressions going on. Like it's a lot of people will just make kind of just casually, racist or homophobic comments because that's just who they are. And they've never received a lick of pushback about that. And so it's, I got to kind of early on at my job, like I had to sort of walk that line of like, wow, do I need to say something here? And then not wanting to say something because I need this job. But after a while, I've sort of gotten to the point where I'm who I am,
Sure.
And, I've got a bigger personality. And so it's easier, I think, to kind of be a little more out there as far as they're concerned, a little more out there with my political beliefs.
So that's generally more just like, that's not about guns. That's not about dumb shit with guns. That's more just, you live in a town that's like a red town mostly. Yeah. And it's, these people have ingrained perspectives and bigoted thoughts, stereotypical thoughts, and that shit comes out at work. You don't hassle much with that shit with challenging it. You just kind of let it be. They let you be. Yeah. Is that's where that's at?
I push back a little, and it's gotten better, right? Like there's nothing really egregious. Like nobody's, dropping the N-word or anything like that. Like but it's just, there are a lot of people with anti-poor attitudes. There are a lot of people with anti-Mexican attitudes. It's racist, but it's racist against the dark people that they see every day. Springfield does not have a whole lot of black people.
Yeah.
So much so, I work in the healthcare field, and for somebody that grew up in Maryland, I lived in a little town that was kind of halfway between Baltimore and DC, right? Like if we wanted to go to a museum, we drove to DC. And if we wanted to go to a concert, we drove to Baltimore, right? Like that was our thing. But it was very, very integrated, like the whole thing. And having lived out here for, over 20 years now, when a patient comes into the hospital that's black, I notice it. And it bugs the shit out of me that I notice it, because that wasn't a thing that I ever kind of picked up on. Yeah. And I've been, in this cracker ass town for so long that it's like, it's started to wear off on me. So much so that like when I travel for work, I try to go to bigger cities so that I can kind of like regain a little bit of who I used to be.
Yeah. It could be also subconscious protection stuff, because deep down, the waters that you're in, and you see a black dude and you're like, oh shit. Like, I might have to warn this guy, or like I'm worried for him because I know what waters he just walked into.
Right. Or right. Oh dude, I'm on your side. Like I'm one of the good white people.
Overstay that. Here's the litmus test for me, man, about this kind of shit. I'm going to assume, because I think I've heard you say this before, that some of this bigoted shit that you hear comes from some doctors. But would you also say there are some like white bread nurses and people that work at the hospital that are females, that this stuff comes out of their mouth also? You see that perspective?
I think it's kind of universal. If anything, probably less so with the doctors. And I think that probably comes from, and this should be no surprise, they've been someplace else. Most of the medical schools tend to be in bigger cities.
Yeah. So which is what happens.
Yeah. You get up, you go to a big town, and, whatever prejudices you have, I don't know, most of the time, a lot of the time kind of falls away. You tend to be bigoted against the things that you don't experience personally.
So this is my test for that in your town. If these like kind of bigoted nurses, if Erik Estrada was a cop in your town, close to the hospital, right, that you work at, Erik Estrada from Chips, like tight ass uniform, slick back hair,
great looking, Great
good
looking back in
looking,
the day. Still looking good.
Yeah, bronze is all get out.
Right.
And he's a cop. These most of these nurses are banging him. Like they're still gonna
yeah, but probably not telling their mom and dad about it.
Right. Right. That's my Erik Estrada litmus test for fucking implicit racism, right?
Yeah.
So these ladies are gonna complain about Mexicans, but in a snap they would fuck Erik Estrada,
right, dressed
in the Chips costume.
So for dudes, who is that? Is it Lisa Bonet? Is that? Well, I'm not into minorities, but I mean, she's a little freaky. I might be into it.
Sure. Yeah. No, I think you could probably find from a light-skinned black girl to a dark-skinned black girl somebody that all of those dudes would just drop it for.
Right.
They might even drop it so hard they are like in a serious relationship with the person.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to see what the Erik Estrada test was, like on these nurses were. What about stupid gun shit? Like, have you had to really see much stupid gun shit online with conservatives, or you just like had this experience where you like tasted it a little bit and you were like found LGO and then just ran inside of our wire and didn't really see much of it after that?
I think there's a big difference between online stuff and in-person stuff.
Yeah.
Because like, I mean, around here, guns, they're not really a big deal, right? Like everybody's got some. There's a handful of dudes at work that are like really into it. And that's pretty cool, because like, we've got something to talk about then. And the people that aren't just kind of aren't, right? But like in person, I think people tend to be a lot more level-headed about their gun stuff. And that's across the board. I think that's probably liberals and conservatives. But you get online and like the conservative Gunderp is just ridiculous. The thing that really got me kind of going into, and we'll talk about Rocket Armory eventually, but like the thing that really got me on that was that whole, Spike's Tactical, Not Today Antifa ad that they did, with a bunch of, people just with their AR-15s defending against the rioters and shit like that. It's like, it seems to me that like online, especially, there is a large group of people on the right that like, they're really cranking it on the regular to like, I'm going to get to fucking kill somebody. Like I'm going to defend they couch it as, I'm going to defend me and mine. Right. But it really is like this desire to like, I'm going to get to take a life and I'm going to be justified. I'm going to be righteous about it. Right.
Sure.
And that's such a weird, it's such a weird attitude to have. Like, I mean, for, as somebody that like, does have guns for self-defense, like the last fucking thing I want to do is kill somebody.
Sure.
It's the last thing that I want to do.
You're perfectly describing Kyle Rittenhouse's subconscious.
100%. 100%. Yeah. And it just doesn't.
Couched in, I'm going to protect people's businesses in America.
Right.
Is this little kid who was obviously in these waters with his family and with other people and online, and he got a chance to go out and kill some fucking liberals.
Right. And then on the left, it's kind of gone. I think we're going through some phases. I think my impression of kind of liberal or left-wing gun culture, is that it's maturing. I think, there for a long time, and I'm active in, I'm not on Facebook as much anymore in the liberal gun owners group and everything, but I'm on Reddit. With the unaffiliated r/liberal gun owners. And for a long time, it was very much like, hey, let's get out here. Let's, we need to start, showing these conservatives that liberals own guns too. Right. And that was huge. And I think that's calming down quite a bit. I'm not seeing nearly as much of that anymore. I think people have kind of accepted the fact that like, of course they do. If anything, we've gone back to the way that it used to be, where the owning of the guns is, at least for the people, is probably less. There's probably less of a divide, maybe,
sure,
between the left and the right, as far as like their attitude towards guns. They're calming down a bit, I think, on the left.
Yeah, I think part of that was a myth. So if you think about it, it could be West Coast elite liberals or bougie liberals and East Coast bougie liberals. They have a tendency to do what every human does, and that is project their own internal experience onto the rest of the world as normal, right? False consensus bias. The things that I like are the things that everybody else likes. The things that I don't like are the things that everybody else doesn't like. And if you go against that, if I like something and you don't like it, you're defective in some way, right? If I don't like something and you like it, you're defective in some way.
Right.
And so that's the basis of consensus bias, is you think all of the liberals think like you do. Right. And in that way, I find many motivated left-wing people are cultural colonizers. That is what they are. They're cultural colonizers. So there's a massive complaint about colonization and white Europeans going all over the world. And when these white Europeans go into a new land that's already been occupied by other people, mostly people that would be brown, and once they arrive there, now this land is legitimate. Before, it was not a real land. It wasn't legitimate. The people here aren't real people. But now that I'm here, bang, put the flag down. This is now legitimate, and this is the way that it is, or it's going to be. Well, a lot of liberals, coastal liberals, are cultural colonizers in that way. When they project the way that they are, right, outward, they want that to be the way that the entirety of liberalism is, and that's just not the case, right? So they try to come into things and go, boom, my flag is down. This is the way that liberals deal with guns. But in so doing, they're completely blind to the fact that there was already indigenous liberal gun ownership in the space. It's indigenous to what we are. It's just not indigenous to their middle class and above, educated mostly, sometimes elite, bougie fucking thing. This is where the, wait a minute, liberals don't own guns thing comes from, right? Is this sort of mythology that has been projected onto the scene. And yeah, I think in the past 30 years, you're seeing less, at least for a while, we're seeing less and less left-wing people or liberal people buying guns or getting into guns. It's not really in the culture if you're going to college and getting a PhD and shit. Yeah, but that was just sort of a lull, and now it's changing again. But there is definitely that projection of, that false consensus bias being projected, and the cultural colonization. They attempted to do that, and in my opinion, they lost, because now we have what we have. We have LGO, we have LGC, we have all these other people who are saying, no, that's just not true.
It's interesting that you bring that up, that your personal experience and your personal attitudes towards different subjects, that people tend to try to universalize that, right? Yeah. And it reminds me, and I wish I could remember who wrote this, but it touches on kind of the gun control debate, in that for some people, urban people, upper class people, they see guns and have only ever seen guns as a problem that needs to be solved. And then you've got another group of people who, you're more rural, lower class even, I don't know if the class even comes into it. You're more rural people who, for them, guns have never been a problem.
Right.
And so you've got these two people these two groups of people they're coming at the same thing with just wildly different experiences. And I think that's why they end up talking past each other the way that they do. Because if you're a person who has never seen the use of a gun, has never seen any benefit from them at all, and all you've ever seen is crime, school shootings, suicide, well, then it's really easy to look at that and go, well, fuck, get the fuck rid of them. What are we doing here? This thing never helps. And then you've got the other people who are on the opposite side of that, and they're like, well, hang on, like this is a useful thing for me. I can use it for this. I can use it. There are benefits to having it, but
Sure.
getting those two groups to be able to even see where the other is coming from it's a heavy lift. It's a heavy lift.
Yeah, and it's a part of it is insoluble. Probably we'll never get it. The part that can improve is going to be a lot of work, for sure, because that's just a general limitation with the human mind, I think. But you're right about that. There's the urban paradigm, and then there's the rural paradigm, and each side thinks they have the solution, right? But the thing is, can you even have a solution that spreads across the urban and rural landscape politically, philosophically? You simply cannot. This is like a fool's errand. One of the limits of having like federalized concepts or concepts of one government for all the people in one way. You simply cannot. Right. You cannot do it. And then guns are like a perfect example.
Right.
They're a perfect example.
When we were kids, like we were taught, that states are these, little laboratories of democracy, and we were going to try different things in different places. Right. Because honestly, like the gun laws that they have in New York City probably wouldn't work in Montana and vice versa. Sure. Right. Like there are, sure. I do see some benefit in looking at, having different rules or different laws depending on kind of where you are, with sort of that baseline of like, it is going to be legal to own guns, right? Like you should be able to have these certain things, right? But maybe there are some differences that we could have based on location.
Or it's fine if Erik Estrada has guns because he has tight pants on and I want to fuck him. Dude. But the other people that are unfuckable, they're not allowed to have guns.
How that dude was not splitting his ass seam every time he mounted up on that motorcycle. Those pants were tight. And
maybe he was.
And those leather jack boots. Oh,
dude. Some of these young kids that are listening to this episode, all two of them, they don't even know. They don't even know about the power of Ponch and John.
They do not.
They don't know about my Chips Big Wheel when I was fucking 6 years old that had the fucking horn on it, and you could tie in the CB thing. You could talk through it. It had the brake. Full on powder blue Chips. Oh, Big Wheel.
Amazing.
If I could find every Big Wheel, oh my God. If I had just saved them and put them somewhere, it would be phenomenal. Oh. I had the best fucking Big Wheels. Did you have awesome Big Wheels?
We had okay Big Wheels. The thing I always lusted after, the big green machine, which was like the sports car Big Wheel.
With the two handles
to steer. Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of the steering wheel, you had two handles to control. The green machine. I only rode the green machine like a couple of times because one of my friends had a green machine, but I never had a green machine. Anyway, Erik Estrada, he might be the solution to the gun issue. If we could just have him come back with the pants, he might just be able to sauce it all up, distract people enough. Maybe we could get some other ideas in there.
If there's one thing I think we can all come together around, it's Erik Estrada's tight, sweet ass.
Next t-shirt. I don't know why it's taken us so long to get to this point. But man, woman, black, white, gay, straight, just shut the fuck up. Look at Erik Estrada's ass. It could be like, I don't know. My mind just went to like, well, what if it's like the Ark of the Covenant? Like you get his ass, then you open it up, and then there's fucking demons in there that melt your face.
I hope that's not the case. I
don't know, dude. If nothing works for gun control and all this, we might end up having to find out. Taking Erik Estrada to the island with the Nazis and tying him to the thing and open up his pants and the fucking demons start. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, I hope we just keep banging on, no pun intended, but I hope we keep banging on the Erik Estrada joke. So what about John Waltz? Talk to me again about you shot when you started shooting guns when you were younger with your grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
And what age was that? And talk to me about that again a little bit.
Oh, probably like 8 or 10 ish. Yeah. He would take me and my little brother out to the rod and gun club near where he lived, and yeah, he had like a 30-06 hunting rifle that he used. I think it was probably a BAR, one of those neat semi-auto 30-06s. He had a cap and ball revolver that was an absolute blast to shoot. Loved it. And then I think probably a little like a bolt action 22 that we would shoot, and it was just. It was a thing that he enjoyed doing, and sometimes we got to go along with him and do that. It was very, very cool. And then, he also had this collection of guns that is, in looking back, absolutely amazing. Like, he had just crates of shit that had followed him home. He was in the Pacific in World War II. And so much stuff followed him home. I mean, Garand's, 03A3s, Japanese rifles. And he would just, like, some days we would just go down to the barn where he kept them, not in a safe, just in a wooden box in the barn. And he would, like, get them out and like, look at them and show me, like, hey, here, I took this off some dead Jap, and, just horribly racist stuff, but very cool guns. Very cool guns.
Yeah. Did they have like Cosmoline or anything on them, or they were just like dry sitting in the boxes?
They were
rusty,
just clean. Yeah.
Fuck.
It was so cool. So very cool.
And you said, I asked you if you had received any of those pieces when he passed away.
Nope. No, so some of the other grandkids are favorites. So that's fine. It's fine.
Not Johnny. That's all right though. But it got you set up, and then for a while you just didn't. You weren't doing the guns, right? You just weren't. It wasn't on your radar.
It wasn't a thing that I needed, and so it was fine. I just didn't feel the need to have one around. I had a buddy of mine in the Navy that had a couple cool guns, and his deal was like, if you bought the ammo and cleaned it afterwards, he would let you, go shoot whatever you wanted. And he had like an M9 that he liked to shoot a lot. He had a Desert Eagle. But like the pussy Desert Eagle, because it was in 357. Like,
yep.
If you're gonna buy the Deagle, like, what are you doing? It's 50 AE, right?
Right.
I'll cut you a little slack on the 44 Magnum, but like, yeah,
sure.
dude went with the 357 Desert Eagle, which was fine, But yeah, and that was it probably until the probably mid 20 teens. And I decided that I wanted an AR, and I don't remember why. There was no specific reason. I was kind of living on a farm. And I thought maybe the idea of having like, a rifle on the farm just in case might be a good thing to have around. So I went to the local gun shop and picked up a DPMS 16-inch AR with a carry handle, very fancy. And it was I was kind of off to the races at that point.
Yeah, and you didn't do very much with firearms in the Navy. You said you guys did a little bit of Chim Sham and basic, and then that was it.
we had to qualify in basic training on a 1911 that had been converted to 22 long rifle. I think I shot 3 magazines over the course of an afternoon and got my sign off, and that was it. Yeah,
which is interesting. As I mentioned this when we did attempt number 1, that John is actually, for somebody who doesn't train a lot, because I've trained with him on site and instructed him a little bit. He is a very good natural shot. And you can tell when you have people that have a very good feel for guns and just are naturally good. And you definitely have like naturally straight and tight grouping shots. Like, it's just, for somebody who doesn't spend a lot of time, impressive, balanced, right along with your kinesthetic alignment and your body. You punch out and the bullets go right where they need to go.
So I was thinking about that since the last time we talked, and trying to figure out, one, if that's true. And I think you're right. I have a horrible time taking compliments.
Sure.
But yeah, I think you're right about that. The kinesthetic alignment thing comes from, and we've talked about this, during the trainings we've done, it's caveman brain stuff, right? Like, we're very good at pointing at things.
Yep. And
I think maybe I'm just a little more in tune with my inner caveman and And because of that, like, yes, if I point at something, I'm pretty good at getting on target pretty quickly.
I wonder if because you're a surgical tech, if like that part of your brain, your mind to hand and finger coordination, because you have to be pretty fucking precise in what you're doing, and you have to stay in that part of your brain for hours or an hour or whatever. If that proprioceptive or at least the body awareness and hand awareness and finger awareness, I wonder if that lends itself to it too.
It might, or it could be, you know, I'm good with the proprioception, so I've gravitated toward this job. But both, that is for sure something that I need to do. It's kind of wild. So again, like you said, I'm a surgical tech, so I'm like that disembodied hand that you always see in movies or TVs that's like passing the instruments to the doctor, right?
Yeah.
And you would think that that's, in general, like, that's easy. Like, what do you do? Oh, I hand tools to another person, right?
Right.
But like having them being able to give things to people in a way that they have to manipulate it as little as possible once they have control of it.
Yep.
Like, that takes practice, and it does take some skill. And yeah, for whatever reason, like, I've really taken to it. Like, I'll do things that, like, little, you know, I'll twist things a certain way, or I'll try to like think about passing it a certain way. That when I'm teaching students is difficult, because for me, it's just kind of second nature. I'm like, oh, well, I'm trying to give it to you this way, but when I see the doctor's hand come up for it, it's a little different. And so I've got to like modify what I do real quick, you know, in that half a second before he takes hold of it. But that's I do feel like that's a little bit innate with me in a way that I've had difficulty teaching people. Yeah.
Are you a little bit obsessive, like OCD-ish a little bit?
Not as much as you would think.
Okay.
I have enough of that to worry about keeping things sterile. Like, I'm very in tune with like what is sterile and what isn't. But as far as like, I have some coworkers, I am married to one of them, who are very much OCD, and will, if something is on their table that's off by, you know, 5 or 10 degrees, they are correcting it. They're constantly straightening. I don't have that.
Yeah. But you certainly do you have to keep focus, not just for when you're handing shit to the doctor, but also receiving it.
Yes.
Like, you have to be able, because that's, I mean, you could Johnny Fumblefuck so many times, right?
Yeah.
And in a surgery, and you can't do that. You can't trip out. It's not like you can be there and you need to receive this tool from Dr. Schwarzkopf or whoever. And then you start having a thought, you start fantasizing about Erik Estrada or shirtless John Schneider from the Dukes of Hazzard. You can't follow that off. Like, you're with him, he's showing you how to do the bow and arrow with the dynamite stick on the fucking arrow. Like, you can't, your brain can't go there. Like, you have to be, let me just ask you, maybe it's not John Schneider and Erik Estrada, but does your mind start to wander into like drift into fantasy sometimes, and you have to like snap yourself back? So
it's interesting. Okay. So I've been doing this job for a little over 20 years now. And so the surgeries that we're doing, I work at an outpatient center. So the stuff that we're doing, like total knees and total hips and stuff like that, they have a very set routine to them. And once you kind of figure out what that routine is, it's the same way every time.
Okay.
Or it's 90% the same way every time, right? Like, I know the order that we're going to do things. I know the order of the instruments that the doctor's going to need them in. And I know what I'm doing. So once you kind of master that, then you can sort of, you're always having to pay attention. You always have to watch what's going on. But your mind can wander a little bit, and you can talk about other stuff. So it's not uncommon for us in surgery to be discussing all manner of things.
Sure.
While we're operating.
Sure.
But then another skill that some people don't have is the ability to know when to shut the fuck up. Because when things, there's nothing worse than when things start to go a little sideways, and everybody involved kind of locks down in order to kind of deal with that problem. And then you've got some dickhole out there who still thinks it's time to be yucking up and talking about, what was on the last episode of the Dukes of Hazzard that he watched.
Right. Or Chips, right.
Right. And you're like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, did you not understand the change in the room dynamic that just happened in the last 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Pay attention. Pay attention.
Yeah, like that. There is a looseness that brings you a greater tightness. Like when you relax, you stay better with your tightness than if you're like being anal and exhausting your brain over it.